Welcome, my friend, to Next Level Change Success. I'm Therese Perez, a change strategist and practitioner with over 20 years of experience designing and delivering impactful change programs across various industries. In this podcast, I share real-world practical strategies to help you create and deliver positive change experiences, whether you're a leader, practitioner, or someone looking to bring new ways of working to life. In today's fast-paced world, change is constant. Here we focus on how you can put people at the centre of your change strategy, because people with a sense of purpose are the most important link in driving performance. So if you're ready to create meaningful change and achieve all the success that comes with it, keep listening. Together, let's change the conversation and take it to the next level. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Next Level Change Success. My name is Therese Perez, and I'm the founder of myvirtualchangemanager.com. I'd like to acknowledge that I am recording on Thurrbal country and pay my respects to the traditional owners and custodians on the land on which I am recording, and to elders both past, present and emerging. This week we're talking about how, by understanding where the power is in an organisation, you will achieve embedded change. And so you would know that in an organisation at the senior levels, mid-level management, there are power centres that happen. What I mean by that is that there are some leaders who might have more power or have the ear of the CEO or the ear of certain areas. There's relationships that happen, there's bias that happens, and by better understanding that layering, the more effective, especially if you're running enterprise change, you will be. Why do I say this? Because apart from the framework when it comes to change, and dependent upon your type of change, there's obviously the change plans that get put together. A lot of it has to do with the sponsor's ability to navigate, and the project sponsor and change sponsors navigate the political layer in their organisation to get support of their peer groups, even if it's a change that not all of them believe in, yet being able to get them to a neutral position for those who might throw up hurdles or put obstacles in the way for all sorts of reasons. The ability for your project sponsor or change sponsor to navigate that and be able to lobby for that support, engage for that support, it is going to help ultimately the rollout. And as I said, especially for enterprise change, but even for if there's interdepartmental changes that need to happen. And you will find that, and you might have experienced this, that if you have had a leader in the past, or that you currently have a change sponsor now who is navigating that well, how much easier that is, rather than having a scenario where you're having to react, put something together, head back to the justification of the piece of work to try and get someone's attention, or trying to get someone's buy-in. And the time that is wasted doing that, because there can be a reinterrogation that happens on a piece of work, on a change that you're bringing in, if someone's not engaged, or if they have a beef with the person who has been, or if they're not getting along with their peer, or if they have some other issue with them about some other piece of work, it could be playing out and affecting your piece of change. So sometimes it's important to understand the lay of the land, and then it helps you not personalize if there's what's deemed as an attack on your change or the piece of work, or having someone interrogate that. That's why I always encourage you to reach out to stakeholders, keep them informed, and really do that stakeholder analysis and impact assessment. Revisit who's been engaged on the change or who's in the governance forums. And the reason you do that is to ensure that everyone is engaged, regardless of if someone's getting along with someone else. It's important that you're engaging them, moving through that discussion, and ensuring that the progress is being made as it should. Because when you have a stakeholder, and certainly I've had this in the past, where because of different bias that might be happening, or you might name it politics happening between leadership areas, that some come in to, for example, a steering committee and simply want to shoot down anything that's being proposed, or always go on the attack on any change plan, requirement, progress. And you need to make sure that you don't internalize that and that you don't take it on board. It's actually understanding that at times within that peer group landscape, people can become a little bit antsy about things and picky about things because of interpersonal relationships to which you're not privy to, but you can sense when you go into a room. And I'm sure you might have had those instances where you walk into a room or virtually dial into a room and you could cut the air with a knife, and you're sitting there thinking, great, how am I going to present this? So what do you do in these instances? And as I mentioned, be sure to be across your impact assessment and know the leadership tiering in that impact assessment. So you can cross-reference that with your stakeholder mapping, making sure that in your governance structures you have the right people at the table. Or when it comes to design decisions, always encourage those who are in charge of the design of the solution, whether it's an IT, a policy, a process, that they are considering the voice of the leadership team whose teams are impacted. If they have the buy-in, then it will make the change journey far easier than if you're going with a solution that hasn't been consulted upon and you don't have representation in the steerco or other governance groups where the voice of the business is heard, and the business in this instance being the business areas who are impacted. So be sure to do that, because then you are making sure that you are mitigating that risk of non-engagement, but also of the politics that can really throw your project and certainly delay it and harm your change and the change journey if you haven't done your due diligence in these areas. That is the best way to mitigate that risk. The other thing I want to talk about on this episode was the concept of a charismatic change leader, and what does a good change sponsor look like. And I've been just playing around with this based on my own experience. And one thing I will highlight around sponsors, I would think that a sponsor's ability to navigate the interpersonal relationships definitely will either assist or hamper, especially for large scale change, the ability to implement that change. So consider that in your current change landscape. This is a short, sharp episode. Might be relevant to where you are right now. Have a look at your leadership landscape, have a consideration around that. And if you're looking to learn about changing projects, come to my virtual change manager and sign up for our priority waitlist, because we are in the final days of booking times, dates, and then we are going to get the ball rolling for people who have signed up for that priority waitlist to learn about this course and what it can offer them so that they can make a choice. And hopefully you're going to be on that list so that you can make a choice as to whether you want to learn more about change in projects this year and get those tools into your toolkit for 2026. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for listening. And just remember that change matters, because you, your people, your purpose, it all matters.